Internet! My name is Catherine Barsonistis, and you are watching the Gluttonous Geek presents Munchies and Minis, a Dungeons and Dragons or fantasy tabletop role-playing game inspired cooking show where I first make a snack inspired by the various tabletop role-playing games, and then work on painting a mini. I've been doing the 52 weeks of D&D fan art challenge, and we are actually revisiting the shopping theme because the last time I tried doing the shopping theme, I made some oyster skewers that tasted pretty nasty. I will say I very rarely, and this sounds kind of conceited, but very rarely post up things that, or do things that taste kind of gross, or things that I just don't want to post. So yeah, just to save all of you people from trying to polish up a fishy smelling turd, we are not doing those anymore. We are in fact retrying the theme and going for a different Freudian cuisine. Faerun, as you might already know from playing Dungeons & Dragons, is the main continent featured in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. I tried doing a kind of a water of Earth, and my cats are just kind of dashing across the room, don't mind them. Or mind them, they're hilarious. Yes, with a Turkish, a take on a Turkish street food called börek. Börek is the name for this type of pastry, where it is sheets of phyllo dough that are stuffed with a variety of cheeses and meats, or just kind of like a flaky croissant-y sort of stuffed pie. You normally see it in coil shapes, or in the way that you would see it as I'm making today, which is in the form of roses. I can't remember exactly the name for it, and it's on my it is on my main draft, so I don't really have that. But our dish today is taking the concept of the börek and another ingredient that is listed within the Dungeons and Dragons source material, which is Kalashite cheese. Kalashite cheese is a type of loaf of cheese, kind of a farmer's cheese, that has been kind of turned, it's kind of dyed green by the various curries and spices that are used in Calimport and Calimport, which are prized heavily much for their spice and the kick and just that really that burst of flavor. So since there is no such thing as Kalashite cheese, we are going to be making kind of sort of a substitute on that with a mix of cheeses as well as Italian parsley and curry powder. And also, since this particular term for the type of the shape of börek, which is in smaller coils as roses, we're also going to be using some rose water in our dish, as well as a variety of adding some walnuts and some golden raisins, which are somewhere around here. But obviously, since my anxiety is going, let's get a drink started using some of the ingredients that I have with me today. So, fun thing I found at Williams-Sonoma recently, they have these fun little whiskey glasses here with the snitch on them. I like them. As well as ice cube molds. Mama loves her whiskey. Come on. I also like these a lot better than the D20 ice cube molds I have because, for one, they evacuate the glass much more easily, as you can see there. And also the sides are rigid, as you can see. So it keeps its shape without overflowing in the refrigerator. So let me just put that back together, refill it. Come on. Another thing, it doesn't really spurt out at you, it kind of fills as you're going. And God, I wish this was sponsored content. I wish I got sponsorship from Williams-Sonoma, but I don't. It's just me touting what I love about this ice cube mold to myself. Alright. There we go. I'm just going to stick that back in the freezer. I'm just going to pause for a second because you don't want to hear me blow my nose. So, kind of an experimental drink time. Hi, Shirley. How are you doing, kitty cat? Experimental drink time, where I've got my ice cube in the shape of a golden snitch. A little bit of Virgil Cane ginger-infused bourbon. This stuff is amazing. You don't really need a mixer. It is, you can just drink it straight. It is incredibly smooth. But since I'm also having some other things with my in my barrette, I just want a little bit more than just whiskey to kind of enjoy. So I'm going to be using some of the ingredients I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using some of the ingredients I'm going to be using in today's recipe. So we got some rose water, which I think will go very well with the ginger. Splash of that. Swirl that around some. Perfumey. And since I need a little bit of acid, and I'm also using in this in the recipe, I can just add a little bit of apple cider vinegar to that. And you're thinking vinegars in cocktails? It's actually not all that uncommon. I mean, back during the 1800s, drinking shrubs were popular. They were vinegars, infused various fruits and vegetables and other herbs. Usually thought as medicinal, but hey, they are lovely in cocktails, and if you don't believe me, Google it. Okay, that's brilliant. Love it. But could actually use a little bit more whiskey. So, just a wee bit more bourbon. I don't have anywhere to go tonight. Swirl out around some. And that is fantastic. So, for what I need to first do for my roses of Calimport is preheat my oven to about 400 degrees. Where are you? There you are. So here we go. Actually, I'm going to stick it on... No. It will take me about 20 minutes to get everything prepped, so I'm just going to leave it on the regular preheating function, and you want it to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So, we are back here at the main stage. So, I know that I have been gone for a while, and I do apologize for that. I also know that the Sweetheart's Confection did not actually get posted to YouTube or as a highlight, and for that, that is my fault. I do admit that. The week of Thanksgiving was, well, crazy. And that's also why we haven't really had any episodes recently. My husband and I had just gotten back from our 5th wedding anniversary in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And my, goodness, my brain just kind of stopped on me again. And I was also preparing a turkey for Thanksgiving. So as I was preparing said turkey, as in taking apart an entire turkey, I also had gotten news that a good friend of mine in the cosplay community had passed from complications after a surgery. And yeah, I defeat my... I a lot of times handle my demons in various hard times with humor. So the humorous thing I can look back on it is here I am up to my in turkey juice and raw poultry and like crying my eyes out while trying not to touch my face because I am covered in turkey guts. So yay! Right, so let's go ahead and get on with this recipe. As you see, I have some Italian parsley here. We're going to need that in just a bit. I'm going to need about a cup of finely chopped Italian parsley. So I just need to get a measuring cup out here. Well, this is 2 cups, but it'll do. And get to chopping my parsley. Let's kind of bring the camera out there so you can see this a little bit better. So, this will probably give us about a half of a cup, this bunch right here. I did kind of take off some of it earlier this week to make some pasta. But first, we're going to just teach you really quick how to properly hold a chef's knife. You want the index finger of your dominant hand right here up against the blade where it meets with the handle. Your thumb here. And then comfortably wrap your fingers around the handle of the knife. And you can just kind of adjust that pinch as you go, but you do want to be holding with your thumb and forefinger right there. So, now I'm just going to hold this bunch of parsley together as I kind of shave along the sides here in rocking motions. I'm just going to save these stalks here for my stock bag, which is right over here. Aha! The nice thing about Thanksgiving is that it awards you with a giant bag of turkey bones. So, I'm just going to add the stalks of my parsley. To that, there's also some leek greens in there too. And then I'm going to make myself some nice, delicious turkey stock once that is full. But in the meantime, just got to continue to chop at this pile of chopped leaves, using my hand to steady the top of the blade as I go so it doesn't slip anywhere. I mean, I'm sure if you go, well, I've done this before and it slipped all over the place. You're probably doing that. And yeah, it's going to slip all over the place. Nope, if you pinch it, you won't have that problem. So, also make sure that your knives are sharp. A dull knife is more likely to, well, is about a statistic I don't know times likely to slip and cut your finger than a sharp blade. Just know that it is, and that should be good enough. You see I'm kind of pushing the leaves together to chop them up more finely. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So, I'm just going to get that into my measuring cup, and I want about a cup of finely chopped Italian parsley in this. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to chop up that other bunch. So, just take off the top of this for now. Just kind of eyeballing it. And you notice I'm doing a bit of a rocking motion as I slice. That will keep your knife stable and your motion fluid. Though do remember to move your fingers out of the way as you're slicing. I mean, I can go slower, so see what I'm doing here? But the speed helps because it keeps this whole thing together as I chop. Okay, let's see how much that yields. All right. And that is roughly 1 cup. Awesome. So I'm just gonna stick that in there. And next I need a cup of finely chopped walnuts. So just find the scissors there. That music is still playing, right? Yeah, it is. Now, there are several ways you can do this. I mean, you can throw it into a food processor, like same with the parsley. You can use a slap chop. Or you can just stick that into a Ziploc bag and smack at it with a kitchen mallet. I'm just doing the knife here today to show that, yes, it can be done with a sharp knife and about the same technique. Also, I really don't feel like wasting a Ziploc bag right now. So. Then, I don't know about you, but pulverizing something with a knife is kind of therapeutic. After a long day of, well, any kind of day job, really. Okay. And granted, this doesn't really exactly have to be a whole cup, or you can go a little over, but generally for this recipe you don't want more than 4 cups of filling, just because of how it will fit into the phyllo dough when we're done. Man, that drink is good. Yeah, if you guys weren't watching earlier, and I promise you, I don't have any sponsors, so other than my Patreon subscribers, so this is not a sponsored ad type thing. But I am drinking right now in my golden snitch cup with, oh, here, you can see it better this way. My golden snitch cup with my snitch ice cube is a mix of Virgil Cane ginger-infused bourbon, rose water, and apple cider vinegar, which is here. Here it is. And it's quite good. I'm enjoying it. So, back to what we're doing. So. I imagine people watching YouTube's gonna think, she already said that, why is she going on about this? Yeah, that's the whole crazy thing of doing stuff on Twitch that then goes onto YouTube. And my husband's wandering around the kitchen like he's lost. What do you need, Ben? Okay. And we'll see how much this yields before I decide to get the mallet out, admittedly. Let's see. Okay, I am halfway there. Okay, I believe it's time to get the mallet out. So let me just find a Ziploc bag here, as well as a trivet, which is somewhere around here. Here we are. And no, I'm not going to cut the trivet apart. So, the quick and easy way of crushing walnuts finely. Just pour some into a bag, seal that up of air. Probably actually need more than that. Push all the air out. Grab your kitchen mallet and make sure you're hitting on a shock absorbent surface like this cork trivet right here. And mute your microphone before you start smacking. Okay. And that is a cup of finely crushed walnuts. I'm just gonna throw that into the bowl with my parsley right here. So that ends our chopping portion of the show, I believe. All right. So this can go live elsewhere. Shove that in there and good, back here. And now I just need to add one more ingredient to the solid fillings here, and that would be some golden raisins. I mean, granted, you can use regular raisins, but I like golden raisins because they have a little bit more moisture than regular raisins, and just a little sweeter. Right, sacrifice to myself. Where did my measuring cup go? Aha, measuring cup. For that, you will need about a half a cup of raisins. Did I write these in? I'll be so pissed off at myself. Oh, yep, yes I did. Half a cup of golden raisins. There we go. And I'm just going to toss that with our parsley and walnut mix. Okay. Great. Do I have this all messed up here? Let's see, half a cup, quarter cup. Yes, that does work. Okay. Where did my raisin box go? It is somewhere in this room. Just, it's right here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, now we need to put together our wet ingredient mix for the stuffing. So for that, you are going to need... Hi, Ginger. Hi. I love you too. What is it, baby girl? This is my Ginger kitty. My little 20-year-old princess. And she wanted to say hi to everybody. Isn't that right, baby? Yeah. Oh, goodness, you're so pretty and soft. So... Hi, Daniel. Oh, goodness, yes. You're a good girl. But Mommy has work to do. Oh my gosh. This is my show. It's just me standing and cuddling with my cat for like the next 2 hours. You guys are okay with that, right? There we go. Okay, baby girl. Okay, okay. You gotta let go of my shirt now. Okay. There we go. Ah, yes. Mommy is cooking, so therefore she has to be all up in my business. She's a proper floof. That she is. Goodness. So yes, for my Calimport cheese, I was wanting to go with something. First I was thinking just kind of, feta, but I also, for my barek, I wanted to have it be a little creamier. So I am doing a mix of cheeses, very similar to my my Crowdy sort of recipe I've done on the blog, where my Crowdy's kind of a take on clotted cream, where I mix together cream cheese or mascarpone with ricotta. This recipe, since we are going for kind of a Ottoman Empire Turkish sort of feel with Calimport and Calimport and all that, we're also going to be introducing some feta into that mix, as well as some curry powder, because Calimport cheese is noted for its kick of curry, as well as some honey and rose water, because rose water is used a lot in traditional Middle Eastern cooking, and also considering this style of barek is referred to as a rose barek, I figure, it could be fun to add a little bit of rose flavoring into that. And I'm not sure where my honey went, but I will find it before the end of this. So I need to first measure out half a cup of feta cheese crumbles. It's probably about a half a cup. Rosewater shows up a lot of medieval English recipes. Yes, it does. But I think a lot of that had to do with various bit of culinary integration following the Crusades. So, just measuring out. And also another fun fact, rose water was the popular baked good flavor of choice before vanilla became popular. That's about a half a cup. Feta cheese crumbles. Some whole milk ricotta. So we're going to be doing about a quarter cup of that. Mostly because of its water content. I mean, a good quality ricotta will not be nearly as watery, but, you know, it really just depends on how spoiled you are with, well, this stuff's pretty fresh, so it hasn't quite separated yet. But I did want a little bit of wateriness to be able to take in that rose water. So yeah, I've got about a quarter cup. I should actually switch back to my prep cam. Back in there, you devil. Okay. And we'll be needing a quarter cup of room temperature cream cheese. That's also why I was kind of stalling a bit at the beginning of this episode, to allow both my cream cheese and my phyllo dough to become to room temperature. So if you're wondering, okay, well, how much is a quarter cup? Well, that is on here, or at least it was. Let's see, it's about 2 ounces, I believe. Right, back to my handy-dandy conversion chart. Quarter cup's about 4 tablespoons. 2 ounces are about... 1 ounce is about 2 tablespoons, so that is 2 ounces of cream cheese. Okay, over here. Alright, so I'm just going to mark that off. Get back here, dang it. Alright. That's roughly about 2 ounces. Where is my package? Aha! Get back here and let me seal you. Okay. So that's going back in the fridge. Oh, by the way, Daniel, I discovered another thing. Rose water is also a lovely thing to add to cocktails. Because what I'm drinking right now is a mix of Virgil Cane ginger infused bourbon, rose water, and apple cider vinegar over a single giant ball of ice. Okay. Do not need that right now. Okay, so I'll just be adding to that a tablespoon of rose water. And where are my other things? Honey, which is somewhere in my kitchen. Aha! Tablespoon of honey. Little trick to make sure that the honey comes quickly out of your tablespoon. Spray the inside of your measuring spoon with cooking spray first, before pouring in the honey. Ah, sorry. Things are going all over the place, and it's crazy. Honey. as you can see, that goes in there rather quickly and easily. I'm going to use a spatula to get the rest of that out. Okay. And like I said, because in the source book that mentions Calimport cheese, it says there's curry powder in it. I am using a homemade curry powder from Mrs. Beaton's Guide to Good Housekeeping. I have a bit left over from when I made a mulligatawny soup inspired by, well, Batman, of all things. I do have the recipe on my blog, thegluttonsneak.com. It should be under Alfred's mulligatawny soup. So I'm just going to add a teaspoon of my curry powder. Feel free to add as much or as little as you like to taste, depending on how spicy you would like it. But also, I know various store-bought curry powders vary in their spiciness. In fact, I originally was going to be using some green curry paste for this, but until I realized I have red curry paste at home, I forgot to buy green. So we are improvising. I am taking the whole concept of the cheese mentioned in the source books is green because you've also added parsley, which is also very, very common in Middle Eastern cooking. So I am just kind of whipping that into shape, blending that all in, and I may add a pinch or two of kosher salt, depending on how much of a salt content I need for this. So, let's see how that is. Okay. I would say it probably needs a bit more curry powder, so I'm just going to add a half teaspoon to that, as well as a pinch or two of kosher salt. Luckily, I get the rose flavors nice and clear. Where did my salt go? Salt, 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 salt. Ha! Salt, appropriately in tagine. So, just gonna add about 2 pinches of that. Mix that all together again. And then give it another taste. Much better. Though I think we'll be good by just adding one more pinch of kosher salt, because after I get this whole cheese mixture mixed up together, I'm now going to add my other filling ingredients, which is that parsley, walnut, and raisin mix. I just kind of want to fold and mix that all together so it creates a paste that's not, that kind of is cohesion, there's cohesion there, it all sticks together, but it's still a fairly loose cohesion, so I can spread it easily without tearing the phyllo dough I'm going to be putting this all in. And I mean, this will all cook down a bit too as the pastries bake. So. Okay. Let's see, how is our oven? Yeah, our oven's at 400 degrees. Okay. Cool. And that is our mixture. I'm just going to give that a quick taste to see if I need to add anything else. That's good. Once again, I'm just going to add a little bit more salt, because sometimes these flavors also bake out as they're cooking. So, no, it will not be too salty. Nice thing about kosher salt is that it dissolves quickly and it's not nearly as salty as, say, table salt. You can taste the difference pretty much immediately as to when you add something, you add a lot of salt to a dish, you're cooking, and it tastes great in the pan, but then it finally dissolves and then it's way too salty. Yeah, you're not going to have that problem with kosher salt, thank goodness. Table salt, more likely. So, highly recommend that you pick up kosher salt. It comes in boxes like this big at Costco for like $1.60. I mean, can't beat that. So, there is my filling. So, I am just going to set that to the side for the moment, because now we got other things to prep, which would be the pastry. Don't worry, this part is, well, for the most part, easy. I mean, I will admit this is the first time I've done this particular application, but I think it'll work out fine. I looked up multiple recipes for burek, and they basically had essentially this method of doing it. So, first I will need an extra dish. And I will need my pastry brush, which is down here. And I will also need a baking sheet, which first I'm going to line with some aluminum foil. For easy cleanup. And give that a good coat of cooking spray. Set that to the side. Next up, I need some olive oil and apple cider vinegar. See, I told you the apple cider vinegar has its uses. So I'm going to need 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And how much apple cider vinegar? 1/4 cup. Which, let me use that measuring cup I have right now because I am lazy. So, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And where's my cup? Haha. Here we are. Apple cider vinegar. And that is 1/4 cup. I'm gonna add that to that. Whisk it with a fork a little bit. There you go. And set that to the side. Next up, file it up. You're going to need about 16 sheets of 9-inch by 4-inch sheets total. That is 2 sheets per pastry. And that is about the size that these are, I believe. Yep, those are definitely 9 by 4. Okay. So, I'm going to start out. That's probably more than that, come to think of it. And these are torn. Well, that one's not torn. Actually, that's more... That can't be right. I'm guessing they probably need my 9 by 14 when I saw that. So yeah, 9 by 14. So first, let's take the sheet here. And then cover up the remainder with the plastic that comes with it. Take my pastry brush, and you want the long edge running horizontal to you like this. So first I'm just going to brush this. The light coat. Or about as light as I can get it, of that oil and vinegar mixture. And to that, I'm going to add another layer on top of it. Come on. Go. And now I just need half a cup of that filling mixture here. Well, my measuring cup I threw in the sink. Not to worry. I've got an eighth of a cup measuring cup here, and I need about 4 of these anyway. So just do that. That way I can... But I also want an inch border between the sides here and the bottom. So. That's 1. Okay. 2. 3. And 4. And I'm just trying to get that as even as I possibly can while still keeping that inch border on all sides of there. No, AVG, I don't want to upgrade. Stop asking me while I'm streaming. Let's see. Okay. So, yeah. There we go. So now I'm just going to cover that with that and roll it up like you would a carpet after I click away this AVG notification. So yeah, you don't want it to be too tight, so just enough to kind of roll it like that. And where are my instructions? They're underneath my filling bowl. Then you want to brush that tube with the same mixture. Because this will also help make it stick together and keep it pliant. Okay, and now tack the loose end underneath and roll it into a coil. Ah! That did not work as planned. Okay. Just for my own edification. We are going to be creating kind of a thing here and hope it works. There, it's a rose. Now, let's see what happens if I cover that up and brush that to kind of keep it down. I might have to do 3 layers of that phyllo dough or brush it on both sides. So this one is kind of a mess up one. We'll just put that onto my tray here. Oh, no, let's just do it that way. Okay, that's one down. Let's try the next batch and see if it works out better for us. So, once again, 1 sheet. Just pull out the camera so you can see this a little better. Okay. It's okay, the second sheet should take care of that. Second and third possibly. Get back here, dang it. Okay. This one. That looks like it's actually going to need another sheet. So, I'm just going to brush on some more. Every time I watch your stream, I get hungry. So, sorry, not sorry? Oh, gosh. Okay, there's that third sheet there. Pardon me. Allergies are kicking me in the face. Okay. Cool. I think that will likely be more durable. We shall see. So once again, we need that half a cup of filling. So. With a 1-inch border. On the bottom and on the sides. It's 3 and 4. Okay. All right. So here we go. Just gonna cover up that bottom section. Really? Okay. Just brush that whole section with that oil mixture. And the other side. And let's see if this one works. Okay. Okay. Gently roll it into that coil. And tuck that end in. There we go. I'm just gonna stick that onto my baking sheet and brush the top with that oil mixture again. Okay, 2 down, 6 to go. Drink. Right. Pardon me for a second. I need to unclog my nose. Where did my regular towel go? Ah, there it is. Just gonna mute for a second. Let's see, what's the drink tonight? Is a mixture of Virgil Cane, ginger-infused bourbon, rose water, and apple cider vinegar. And it is quite good. Okay. I hope that one turns out okay. And I'm looking at it, and probably not the prettiest thing in the world, but it should hold. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, thing I learned, rose water makes a very tasty cocktail ingredient. Definitely gonna have to use it for when I'm trying to put together recipes for that Dresden Files cookbook proposal. I want to put together. Though, I also will admit too, since I read the first Witcher book and did a recipe based off of that, I kind of want to do a Witcher cookbook now too, because, I mean, the English translations came out, I want to say only a few years ago, through Orbit Books, and I know it's a translation from the Polish writer, but it's honestly some of the best writing I've seen in a fantasy novel, like, just language-wise. Use too much rose water, everything ends up tasting like fancy French soap. That's why I balanced it out with the apple cider vinegar. Because you need some, like with roses, you need some kind of acidic component to make it really come together. In this dish, I believe it's the raisins and the feta cheese that kind of help contribute towards that with the rose water in there. Otherwise, like you said, it ends up just kind of tasting like soap. It's one of those flavors you really have to balance. Ah, damn. Yeah, that's definitely going to need 3 layers. Yeah, this is not cooperating with me as well as I'd like it to, but that is why we're doing 3 layers. We'll make it cooperate. That's why a lot of times you see stuff with rose water, you also see like lemon juice in there too. And just a pinch of salt helps too. Okay. Hopefully this will work. Okay. Yeah, it's good to be streaming again, even though I tell you it was fighting with myself to get me to do it. Especially after so long. And it was cold today for Georgia standards. And a little windy. So mostly I've got a kitty on me. It's kind of warm on this bed. Hibernation mode. But thing is, I also have another episode I have to do tonight too. Well, not tonight. This week, because it's getting to be the end of the year, and this is the first episode I've done this month. And yeah, I still need to put out 3 recipes, so... But I'm also behind on November's Munchies and Minis because of that whole snafu with the oyster skewers that tasted god-awful. So, what I am doing is that later this week, I'm going to be making something I'm calling Tamora's Snow Bread, which is kind of a beer bread-based cinnamon roll. And then next week, I'm going to do 3 recipes in one episode, which I'm calling a Gluttonous Geeks Munchies and Minis Holiday Special, where I'm going to be highlighting 3 different Farunian holidays. Wintertime holidays, mind you. in recipes for kind of a Finnish style meatball, some winter ceviche, and cookies. Let's see if I can coil it this way. Aha. There we go. This is probably the best looking one we've gotten so far. Awesome. I think I've got enough for room for 8 on here. Just brush that over the top of that real quick. Okay. So that's 3 out of 8. Yay! I may or may not actually have time for painting tonight, but I'm gonna try. Oh, this is a little dry. I need to remember to cover this up. Okay. And I might need to make more oil and vinegar mix. Oh, but yeah, that should be a fun one. And the teachers and students where I work are looking forward to that as well, because I said that I'd be bringing it in the following day. And it's their last day of class before the winter break. And I figure, you know, I've got a couple things I need to make up over this time, get caught up on the blog, as well as all of my Patreon subscriber rewards, which I'll be showing some of the things I've painted for them tonight, hopefully. We get around to that. So I got a bail. Hope it turns out all well. Thank you. It's good to see you, Daniel, and you have a great night. Let's see. It's probably good that I am doing 3 sheets on this, as it likes to stick, as you can see. Okay, it's a little sloppy, but it'll work. Okay. All right. Make sure that inch border is kept. Cool. Okay. That one kind of exploded on me. I'll just add a little bit of a layer of phthalo on the outside of that and brush it down. And just as a note too, you want your phyllo dough, when you buy it, it's going to be in the freezer section of your grocery store. Yeah, that's going to get a little messed up, but we'll be fine. You will want this dough to be about room temperature when you start working with it. So after you've thawed it out in the fridge, about an hour before you start cooking, just put it out on your countertop to thaw, to come to room temp. Okay, and one more sheet. There we are. Okay. Okay. All right, so now I just need to cover that section up carefully. Perfect. Okay. Give that a quick wipe down to dry that off. As we put together our last pastry. just going to add a little bit more olive oil to that mixture. So we are running low. Okay. A bit more olive oil. And one more sheet of violet dough. Right. And whatever is left in this bowl goes into this pastry. Okay. All right. Okay, last pastry onto the sheet. Brushed with oil. Just gonna top all of these with what's left of the oil. And then get it into the oven for at least 25 minutes. Cool.